May you be blessed with an ever-expanding life.
Hi, this is Billy from Ever Expanding Life. Today, we're going to assess a noisy air conditioner, replace a bearing, and do some deep cleaning. We hope you find this video helpful. If you do, please drop a like, share, and subscribe. With that, let's get started. So our air conditioner is making a new noise now. And it seems to be coming from the rear fan or the motor itself. To get to those, we're going to take out the shroud and the motor mount so that we can get this section out and look at it further. So I took the screws out that were holding the shroud, all except for this one down here at the bottom. That one there is rusted, so that's going to have to be cut out. And I'm going to have to cut out the screws that are holding the motor mount to the body. I grabbed a piece of metal to protect the styrofoam from the sparks. The other screws I shouldn't have to cut. I can loosen them from the bottom. There's a little lock here. On the bottom. Right, it's all loose now. Now let's get this fan off. Now I'm going to take the shroud out. So now the big question, is it still making this noise or not? If it is, it's probably in this motor. If it's not, it was in the fan and shroud. So let's see. Got it plugged in. This is loose, so I'm going to hold the bottom because the only thing that's going to turn now is this guy. Let's see what happens. I'm going to listen with a stethoscope. It's inside the motor. I'm going to go ahead and take this other fan off too. Go ahead and give her a listen again. There's a problem. Now we've got the box open. I want to see if I can get this free. A lot of wires coming in. 6 wires. So I just need to make note of where these wires hook. Now I've got to be careful of this capacitor because that capacitor has a charge in it, and if I go touching the wrong thing I'm going to get shocked. The best bet is to try to short out the capacitor. I'm going to cross the terminals of the capacitor with a screwdriver to drain any charge. CN10 low. And the red is going to be CN8 high. And the gray is also to the capacitor. And that should free the motor. Stick a couple screws in this so it don't fall out. Okay, now we got this thing loose. There's the fan motor. All the wires disconnected. So now I'm going to take it out of this bracket and open it up. Let's mark the top. can hear our problem noise right there. These are all bent over, holding it in place. Okay, take this retaining clip off. There's a gasket in here. Trying to get it all on the same side. This will help prevent tearing. Getting into the heart of it. Let's get this rust off this shaft. That could be contributing to our problem. Few rough spots on here. Might be able to take the sharper edges off. Everything looks pretty smooth on the inside. It feels like the problem might be in the bearings. I can feel vibration when I spin it and hold the bearings. So I think maybe I need to get these bearings off and go get some new ones. Stuck because I hammered it, so I'm going to file that edge off. Notice that the center moved as I was working, but there's marks right here on the shaft where it goes, so we'll be able to put it back. Putting the nut on when I hit it. So there's our culprits. Let's go buy some new ones. So I was able to find one bearing at the auto parts store. This bearing is almost the same, but it's a single seal instead of a double seal. Well, it was really only one of these bearings that was causing my trouble. I wanted to replace them both since I had it open, and I still could, but they won't have another bearing until tomorrow, and this little thing cost me almost $16. If I can figure out which one of these bearings was the one that was still in good shape, I can put this back together and test it by hand to see if I can get rid of the sound. Let's give it a shot. I had taken these inner retaining clips off so I could get the bearings off. So now I'm going to put these back on. Let's see if I can tell which bearing was the bad one. Oh, it feels pretty rough. This is the good one. Alright. This rust on the shaft is making it difficult to get the bearing on. See if I can ease this other bearing on. I'm going to have to file this shaft down some too. Now add a little grease. Let's see what we got. Okay, I'm going to test this, and I'm going to do that by closing this all back up and wiring this up externally and seeing what happens when I turn it on. Cleaning off the ground spot and the ground wire. I don't want to bend these yet, just in case I have to take it apart again, because if I keep bending them, they're liable to break off. So I'm going to go get some clamps that I can hold this together with real tight. That way it'll be good enough for testing. Alright, well that should hold good enough for me to test. I'm going to hook the wires back up from the outside here. Moment of truth. Let's see if we've made any difference. I'm going to plug the unit back in and let's see what it does. The noisiest thing right now is the compressor. The fan's quiet. Now that I know that it works, I want to bend these metal tabs down and take these clamps off and then test it again to make sure that she sounds good. I'm bending them with a screwdriver and hammer, and then squeezing them tight. That's all held back tight together. Do a quick test. Sounds pretty good. Now I'm going to disconnect this motor again, and since the only thing left holding the electrical components in place is the wire to the compressor, I'm going to disconnect the compressor wire. Then I can take the electrical component out completely, and then it'll be a lot easier to clean, because I need to take it outside and hose it out, scrub it down, get this other dirt out. This is dirt that I couldn't get to before because the shroud and the fan were in the way. But now that we have them out, we can clean this out too. While I'm at it, I'll give the fan blades and the shroud a better clean. And this air conditioner should be as clean as new, and then we'll be ready to put it back together. We're going to unhook this fan again. Make sure you got the air conditioner unplugged. But remember, there's still electricity in this capacitor. I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to touch the terminals to each other. This discharges whatever charge the capacitor had. Now it's safe to work on. Okay, the fan's loose again. And now you'll see the only thing holding the electronic components in is the wire. If I look in here, I can see that the wire is hooked in 3 places. I'm going to write down what those are before I take them off. Electronic components are loose. Time to take this thing outside, clean it up. Alright, now we're going to take the rest of those screws out that we cut the heads off of. We made a video about how to clean out your air conditioner. I'll link that here. But you'll notice that without taking the shroud and the fan motor and all of that stuff out, I did miss quite a bit. I did make a big difference in what I did, and it's definitely worth doing even if you're not willing to take this next step here and take the insides out. Now that we got this open, I'm not about to put it back together without cleaning it out. So let's get this done. I've tied the compressor wire up out of the way, and now, just like in the cleaning video, I'm going to start by hosing this thing out. Just dump that water out. I've mixed up a bottle of bleach water, so now I'm going to spray the air conditioner with this and let it sit for a little while. Now that I have the fans out, I can clean them a little better than before. Now that it's out, I can get to the back side, clean it better. And as good of a job as I did on this one, there's still a little bit that I missed. Also, now that the shroud is out, I can clean it better. I now have access to all of this grime behind it. I'm going to start with a light hosing. Now we're going to hit these with bleach water too. While those sit, I'm going to go back to the main unit and scrub it with some more bleach and rag. Be careful on the styrofoam so you don't break it. Rinse it. Okay, there is one thing I want to point out. This air conditioner does have some age on it. And on the inside, you're going to see that there's some decay on the rear radiator. The important thing is the copper tubing is all still intact, the essential part of it. Now what's decayed are the foil that diffuse the heat. But there's enough of it intact, front and back, that it can still do the job. So we're okay as long as the copper tubing isn't damaged. I'm going to set this in the direct sunlight so it can start drying out, and we're going to get to work cleaning those fans in that shroud. So this is just a matter of a little elbow grease. Okay, these parts are a lot cleaner now. The unit's dry, and now I'm going to go look for some screws. Okay, those ought to do to replace the screws that I cut. Let's take this back inside and get it put back together. Let's get this motor mounted. First I'm going to slide the sheath back up. Secure it in place. Now we're going to reinstall the motor into the bracket. You'll see I marked up on the motor. There are little hooks where the motor hangs. I'm going to feed the wires through the side of the bracket where they were, and the ground. And let's reattach them with a zip tie. Alright, I've turned the main unit around so that the open side is facing me. I'm going to pre-assemble the fans and the shroud with the motor, and then I'll be able to set them right in from this side. Before we install the fans, I need to reinstall these retaining clips. Front fan, lining up the screw with the flat side of the shaft, loose enough that I can adjust it when I get it in place. I'm going to attach the back fan. The tricky thing here is that this ring on the fan is too big to fit through the shroud. So that means that we have to sit the shroud in place so that I can attach the fan blade on the inside of it. The fan blade has a flat side. We're going to line that up with the flat side of the shaft. Now that the fan is on, we're going to hold it on with a nut. Now I'm going to set the whole unit back into place. Snap the shroud back into place and screw it in. Reattach the top of the motor mount bracket to the shroud. Now we're going to reattach the bottom of the shroud and the motor mounting bracket with the new screws that we got. My new screws are a little bit too long, so we're going to cut them off with an angle grinder. Perfect. And now I have to mount the other side of the mounting bracket. Don't exactly have a good angle to video it, but I'm going to put those 2 screws in now. Okay, now I'm going to fine tune the position of the front fan, centering it in the space. Time to reattach all the electronics. I'm going to feed the fan motor wires underneath the tubing here of the compressor. I'm also going to untie the compressor wires. Now we're going to feed all of these wires back into the electric box. We'll start with the compressor. Reattach it the way it was when you disconnected it. Now the fan wires. Alright, now I'm just going to reattach these the way they were. Slide the rubber sheath back over the end of the wire. Remount the electrical box. Put the bracket back on the power line. Now we can close up the electrical box. On the front we've got one more screw that secures the electrical box door and helps mount it in place. Make sure you reattach the ground and reattach the sensor. Let's plug her back in and give her a test, see how she sounds. Sounds pretty good. Alright, let's close it up. So there's your culprit right there, a bearing. We hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please drop a like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And may you be blessed with an ever-expanding life.
Ever expanding life.